What's that? I think I can go. Yeah, that's it's kind of going to say that again. That kind of say it. That's kind of. What's that? I can go to myself today. That's awesome going. Hmm. Wait. I haven't got an idea. I haven't got an idea. Yes. Uh huh. Uh huh. Stockton. I don't know if it's talking lately. What I'm doing, I don't fucking know. Welcome back to the show, asking guys. Today I got that song I started the true animation stories. Today we are going to react to what song's interesting. I sense my got this ass until long stories. You know what? It sounds interesting. You know what? Let's watch that line. Sorry about that line. Let me ask you, subscribe to my channel because I want to get you daily content. I want to do that for you. But if you want to see that, please subscribe to this channel and don't forget to share it with your friends if you want to help me grow. And let's get started the video.
It's always difficult to settle down in a new city, especially when you're a teenager and the only
True.
daughter of high ranking political officials. But little did I know that my life would change forever. I'm Rachel.
Yeah, great sayings. From a forest to a desert.
Growing up, I had everything I ever needed. We moved around different cities a lot and never settled down. When I was 14, we moved yet again. Then followed the same old cycle. I was enrolled in the top school of the new city a month late, thanks to my parents' contacts and influence. The school was full of rich kids who believed they were better than everyone around them. I felt like a stranger around them. I had to behave myself all the time, or I risked ruining the family image. I was used to not having many friends. Their problems seemed so irrelevant. I wasn't interested in any of that. I'd rather talk to someone I could share my feelings with. Someone
Okay.
who understood me. I didn't know that this would soon change once I became friends with Amelia. She enrolled in the school 2 months late. It was obvious that her parents were quite influential. I was intrigued, but I knew better than
Yeah, I look good too. As you know, her plans are really influential.
to ask because I didn't know how she would respond. Amelia was beautiful. She was easily the prettiest girl in class. I saw the reaction of the boys the first day she walked into class,
Are you
and they were
Rosales?
practically drooling over her. It was obvious that the popular girls in our class were jealous of her because they were giving her a hard time. They were whispering about her and calling her bad names. But Amelia was different. In a way, she seemed like she was like me. She kept to herself, never made any friends. I didn't know what her deal was.
That makes me fucking lonely. That makes me really lonely if you don't run my any friends.
She didn't seem arrogant, but she wasn't shy either. She spoke confidently and always participated in classroom activities. I liked her. One day I saw Amelia and Jonathan in a hallway talking. Jonathan was cute and very popular. I didn't particularly like him. I could see that Amelia wasn't exactly comfortable with him either. I walked by them and I heard him forcing Amelia to go out with him. I decided to intervene. I said, "Hey, Jonathan,
Oh.
is everything all right here?" He turned around and looked annoyed and said, "Yeah, how about you mind your own business?" Amelia doesn't seem
He has a point. He has a point, and I can't even lie. He just has a point.
comfortable and looked annoyed and said, "Yeah, how about you mind your own business?" Amelia doesn't seem comfortable. Why don't you leave her alone? I said. Jonathan looked pissed off, turned around and left.
Oh,
I turned to Amelia and
that was easy. That was way easier than I
said,
thought.
"Hey, you all right?" She said, "I don't need you to protect me. I can take care of myself." I thought
Yeah,
I
I
was helping her
saw.
out, but clearly she didn't
I saw that. You could really handle yourself.
seem to care much for it. I tried to explain myself. I said, "I know you don't need my help. I was just trying to do the right thing." Amelia answered rudely, "Yeah, well, next time save it for someone else. I'll
Okay.
see you around." She walked away. I felt a bit hurt. It just went to show how the people in this school were. I promised myself that I would not interfere in anyone's business again. Almost a year went
That's why I don't do that.
by, and I didn't speak to her at all. We would see each other in the classroom and pretended that we didn't know each other. Things changed when one day, one of the teachers asked everyone to get into pairs for a project. It was a nervous moment for me because I didn't really have any friends. Amelia was the only one left in the class without a partner, and the teacher asked us to pair up. She walked up to my desk and stood there shyly, not saying anything. I knew that we were both thinking about that day the previous year. Amelia said, "Hey." She paused for a moment and
Hey.
said, "Listen, about that day last year,
Hey, I want to say, I really like you. I really like you. Can we do that over, please?
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be rude to you. I was a bit surprised. I didn't
Something smells fishy. I don't lie.
expect her to talk about her feelings so quickly and openly. I said, "It's okay. It was a long time ago." After that, she
I think
started
she's
opening up
lying.
to me. She laughed at my jokes. She had the most charming smile, and I found myself adoring her more and more. One night, as I was trying to sleep, I wondered what it would be like to kiss her, but I immediately stopped myself. This wasn't right. I pushed the thought out of my mind. One day, Amelia and I were discussing a project. Her voice was so sweet. It didn't matter what she was saying. I could listen to her all day long. "So can you do it?" she asked.
I knew that was going to happen.
I came out of my trance and simply nodded, having no idea what she was talking about, but the big smile on her face told me that I'd given her the right answer. She held my hand, and her touch was electrifying. For a few moments, we stared at each other. Then her eyes widened with fear, and she hurried to let go of my hand. "What do we have here?" I saw a random guy come over and stand beside us. "Won't you introduce me to your friend?" he said. Before I could say anything, Amelia cut in. "She's my classmate," she said. Her voice was so cold. "Introduce your classmate to your brother, would you?" The guy
right.
stretched out his hand and
What's up, homeboy? Hey! How you doing?
I shook it. His touch was so stiff and rude. "Mom couldn't reach you," he told Amelia. "So I came to pick you up. Let's go." And so without a hint of resistance,
Why does a dude that has two different clothing on?
Amelia left with her brother, not even bothering with a last look. I was left speechless and alone. After that day, I decided to keep things professional and suppress the butterflies in my stomach. But then
Yes,
she
yeah.
apologized to me and smiled, and all I could think of was our time together. Amelia and I
remember
got
that.
closer. The project went on for a month and a half, and by the end, I had started noticing a lot of strange things about her. She was very guarded about her personal space. She would flinch anytime someone touched her. She would never let anyone touch her bag or any of her belongings. Anytime there was a question about her personal life, she would brush it off with an excuse. Me and Amelia had been friends for 2 months now, but I knew absolutely nothing about her. She was nice to be around, and I didn't want to push her by asking her anything she wasn't comfortable with. One day I got to school very early, and I saw a black car drop her off. It
Nice car.
stayed there until she was inside the main gates, then left. Now that I thought about it, she was always the first one in class, without fail. Who was this girl? What was she hiding?
She's a secret agent.
By this point, I was almost sure that she was hiding a big secret, but I had no idea how to find out what it was.
Oh, that's
I got
none of
really
your
curious
business.
about what she had to hide. I walked into the classroom and almost didn't see. She was sitting on a bench and gently shaking. She didn't hear me come in. I took a few steps towards her and realized she was sobbing. She was shaking uncontrollably, and for a second, I
Yeah.
froze. I asked, "Amelia, are you okay?" She jumped up from her seat and wiped her face, but she knew that it was too late to make an excuse. I walked up to her and gave her a hug. That was when she completely broke down, and in the
Sob-
middle of sobbing, she told me the most incredible story about her life. Her parents were both members of the Secret Service.
She's a secret agent. I like to make my joke. I was making a joke. I wasn't serious. I really. She is a secret agent. I was just playing, what the fuck?
and they had forbidden her from getting close to anybody. They used to move around a lot, constantly changing their identities so that nobody could track them. Amelia wasn't even her real name. Her real name was Samantha. She was not allowed to go on nights out or have any friends because her parents had always told her that nobody could be trusted. One time, just before she enrolled in this school, she had been dating a boy, and her parents had found out about him. The boy and his family moved away from the city in less than a week, and Sam came here. I felt sorry for her. What kind of childhood was this? I gave her another hug. I said, Samantha, don't cry. I understand. I'm here for you. She said, please don't call me that. I don't want anyone to know. I hope I can trust you with this, Rachel. I haven't told anybody in my life about this. And if this gets out, my parents will be very angry. I said, yes, you can trust me. I will never open my mouth about this. She pulled away from the hug and I reluctantly let go. She smelled so nice. We were really close. She had stopped crying and she still looked so beautiful. She looked into my eyes, gave me a small smile, and then leaned in and pressed her lips against mine. I didn't even flinch. At that moment, I knew that this was what I wanted. It felt right. I gave in completely to her embrace. After all this time of confusion and nervousness, I finally knew what I wanted. I wanted to be with her. This strange, beautiful girl with her incredible story had brought it out of me, and I promised myself that I would carry her secret to the grave for both our sakes. The next day, Sam didn't
I think it's best for me
show
to
up at
take them
school.
out.
I knew something was wrong the minute I walked in and didn't find her there. The day after that, still no sign of Sam. I feared
When she's sick, that's always a possibility.
the worst, thinking that her parents had found out about us. The day after that, she showed up, but acted cold and distant, like nothing had happened between us. She ignored me when I smiled at her. Something was terribly wrong. I tried to talk to her after class, but she didn't give me a response and walked away. I was devastated. I was in love with this girl who I thought was my best friend, and the memory of that kiss was still on my mind. Was it a lie? Had I imagined it all? This went on for a few days. I couldn't imagine what had gotten into her and why she was acting this way. My questions were answered a few days later as Sam caught up with me in the hallway after gym when nobody was around. Rachel, she called me. I saw her hurrying towards me, whispering my name urgently. She checked around to see that nobody was looking and pulled me into a corner. I'm sorry about that. I heard one of my mom's assistants talking to the teacher on the phone, and it seemed like they were talking about you. I didn't want them to know anything about you. If they find out about us, it won't end well. I hope you understand, she said. She gave me a swift peck on my
I don't. I really don't.
lips, whispered, I love you, and rushed off. I couldn't help but smile. It was real. I was even more fortunate that she loved me back. This could be a lasting relationship, but we had a long way to go before we could figure out how we were going to make this work. But for now, it was our little secret. We would steal kisses in the privacy of washrooms and empty classrooms, but nobody, and I mean nobody, could ever know about us. Then something weird happened.
Yeah. During a classroom, yeah, nobody found out about that.
Sam asked me to meet up with her, and I kept thinking, date, date,
Nope.
date. I put on my cutest dress and went to meet her. She had told me to meet her at a coffee shop in the
It's a trap! It's a trap!
farthest corner of the town. It made sense as she was trying to be discreet. I arrived to find her waiting for me, more cheerful than I had ever seen her before. She got up from her seat and
Yeah.
hugged me as I approached her. You're glowing, I told her. She blushed. I'm so happy we're finally away from everyone, she said, grabbing my hand tightly. So am I said, squeezing her hand back. I sat down with my back to a big glass window while she sat facing it opposite me. We couldn't stop smiling. She ordered us coffees. I had to search very hard to find this place, she said. It's one of the most out-of-the-way hidden places ever. No one will think of looking for us here.
2 seconds later.
Sam beamed. Someone's looking for us? I gasped. Obviously. Her eyes sparkled. There's no way they won't notice I'm missing, but I know how to protect those I love. After those words, she looked into my eyes ever so shyly. I felt overwhelming love for her. I started, but stopped midway. She was suddenly frowning. Her happy
Why am I always right? I just thought it 2 seconds ago somebody's going to be here. Let me guess. It's her brother.
Dreamy look was replaced with anger? What's wrong? I asked. She was staring over my head angrily. I didn't know it would upset you. We've been followed.
Wow, I knew it! Fucking hell.
She was practically growling. All of a sudden, she jumped to her feet. We need to get out. She was bracing herself to run.
Yeah, that isn't obvious at all.
Who are we running from? I asked.
My
in a low
brother.
whisper. My brother, she yelled. And before I knew what was happening, she had grabbed my hand and we were running. We pushed our way across the cafe, except we were heading deeper into it rather than leaving through the door. There's a secret exit
Wow.
at the back. She yelled back at me. Behind us, I heard the door swing open and footsteps marching in. They were here. We were out the door
They just his brother.
now and pushing our way through small alleys and back roads. We turned left here and right there. I had no idea where we were or where we were heading. I couldn't hear anyone chasing us anymore, but Sam didn't stop running. He's not really my brother, she said, panting. He's assigned to keep an eye on me. That made sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. Because a normal brother wouldn't be that interested in the shit,
But I
okay?
was getting too dizzy to reply. We need to stop, I panted. Sam stopped abruptly. While I was trying to catch my breath, I saw she was trying to hear if they were still after us. A minute later, she slumped down next to me. We've lost them, she said. I started laughing.
Yeah,
I
sure.
felt no fear. I was with Sam, but she was sitting there with her head in her hands. I don't think he saw your face, she muttered sadly. Why was she sad? We'd gotten away. I was psyched. We could do this. Sure,
Well,
I'd
you
have to get in
can't.
shape, but that wasn't anything impossible. I went in for a hug. Maybe this will cheer you up. I was still giddy with the thrill. Her response surprised me. I'm so sorry, she whispered. Then my world went dark. I woke up to the smell of caffeine, sunlight on my
Wait,
cheek,
what?
and a hand
Wait. Wait.
hammering pain on the back of my head. I looked around. I knew this place, but
What?
what was I doing here? Then I felt something in my
What just happened? The fuck?
hand. A letter. Dear Rachel, it is with a heavy heart that I'm writing this. The past few months have been the most beautiful time of my life, and this is the only time when I've felt that I knew myself. My identity was always caught up in my parents' life, but you made me realize who I am and who I could be. I will always cherish you for that. But for your sake, I have to walk away. We can't keep seeing each other without any consequences. I will keep writing to you whenever I can, but I need to know that this will remain between us. You can't speak about me to anybody. Our presence in each other's lives was beautiful, but it has come to an end. I will always love you, Sam. I read the entire letter
Yeah.
over and over. Tears started flowing down my cheeks, but I just couldn't understand why. What was this pain in my chest? And who really was Sam?
No thoughts. Empty.
The fuck just happened? I'm so confused that I don't I don't know. I really don't know that. Yeah. So fair, yeah. I really don't know what to say about that one. That was so fucking strange. Like, okay, I guess if you like this one, smash like and don't forget to subscribe. I'm lost. I'm really, I'm lost.